Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Davey Cretin to the show. We are starting a new series on Styx. Tonight we are looking at Styx I from 1972 and Styx II from 1973. So let's get started. This will be great. We want to hear from you in the chat.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and look who's the co-captain tonight. It's Davey Cretin, ladies and gentlemen. He's making an appearance. And he's in New York.
Yes.
For goodness sake. Yeah. So tonight, that's right. So tonight we are starting a Styx series, and we're going to go through the catalog, look at all the, well, I don't know if we're going to do live. Well, we might do I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We might look at live albums. More than likely, we'll look at the studio albums. But tonight's victim, we're looking at Styx I from 1972 and Styx II from 1973. So everybody in the chat who knows these records, we're going to treat this very much like a either a Dark Horse Contrarians episode, or we're going to treat it more like a one and done. So I kind of want to get your opinion at the end, your rating out of 10, and we're going to compile it all at the end. See, if we're doing it live, we might as well bring everybody in and get their feedback. So, Mr. Cretin, welcome to the show. How are you? Nice to see you.
Excellent. Thank you for having me on again, Grant.
Of course.
Great to be back in the warehouse.
Of course. Looking, DC's here. We got Gary Joyce. Excellent. Excellent. Jason. Thanks, everybody. So I hope everybody here knows these records. So, as always, we want to keep it interactive. So, all right, let's get started. Davey, we're going to talk about Styx I. So Styx I came out, debut album came out in 1972. And as we will find out, there's a lot of cover versions on here that were pushed down by management or somebody. But, you know, when you listen to it, it just sounds like another Styx song. But still, I'm sure the band is writing at this point. But you still have a lot of cover versions. So anyway, let's start it off. We're going to see what everybody thinks in the chat. Davey, you want to start us off? What's your thoughts on this record?
This record came out this 31st, 72 on Wooden Nickel Records, a small independent label from the Midwest, and it was a subsidiary of BMG Music, RCA. It recorded it in Chicago in Paragon Studio. It's only 32 and a half minutes long. So it's a really short record, produced by John Ryan and Bill Trout. And they were a little bit schizophrenic at the beginning of their career because, like you said, they only have a couple of co-writes on this album. And then I think it was the label, Wooden Nickel, that forced these songs on them. And the band had no idea these songs. They had never heard these songs, but they covered them anyway. And it does sound like Styx, but in the early years, they were a little more raw, more progressive, and more hard rock too. And JY was sort of the leader of the band. He sings the bulk of the lead vocals on the record, and his guitar is right there, present and center, and he's the leader. And he has that tone on his Strat where you say, that's JY. You know his sound.
You can definitely tell when it's JY.
Yeah, definitely. He has that great lead sound, that cool tone that's a little distorted, a little kilter, but it's definitely JY. And the album opens up in 1972 with a 13-minute prog epic called Movement for the Common Man. And it's subdivided into 4 sections. And JY had basically the hand in writing this song. The first section is Children's Land, and it's a hard rock song where JY takes the lead vocals, and the guitars are right up front there. This was actually the B-side to Lady. When we move on to the next album, Lady was released as a single. This first 4-minute section or so was the B-side of the single. It moves into a 2-minute spoken word part, which is just so out of place and weird. I wish they would have deleted that part. It just slows down the whole frantic pace of the opening number. They call it Street Collage. You hear Dennis, you hear the producer talk. I think they're interviewing some people on the streets about what's going on in the Midwest in 1972. You get a little bit of political content, maybe, if you want to look at it that way. And then it segues into the third part, which is a cover of Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man. This is 1972. They did it 5 years before ELP did it. Of course, ELP had the much bigger hit with it because that's been played on radio for the past 45 years, more than 45 years now. And then it ends with a typical, it's co-written by JY and Dennis, ballad section called Mother Nature's Matinee, where you first hear Dennis's voice on the lead vocals, some nice keyboard work. It's very proggy, laid back, a little bit of psych maybe, but we'll talk more about that on the next record. And then it ends with some nice guitar work from Jay. So it's an epic song. It is prog with a capital P, if Scott's out there from the prog corner. This is Styx at almost their most proggy on this song. Yeah. That is track one. What do you think about it, Grant?
Well, I like track one okay. You know, when I was a kid, when I was a big Styx fan, I tried to get into these records, and they never really took off. Now, in my old age, as I become more decrepit and can't move, I really dig these records. There's, when I listen to these records, there's really a progression where they start out, and then you can see where they naturally progress into like Equinox and Grand Illusion. These records all fit together in a certain way. But Movement for a Common Man, if we could get rid of Street Collage, I'd be good. I don't know if they're trying to do like a Simon and Garfunkel thing. I don't know what the idea is. I think it's a bold statement to open this up with a 13-minute track. But if we got rid of Street Collage, I don't have a problem with Children of the Land or Fanfare for the Common Man or Mother Nature's Matinee. But I must say, though, Fanfare, you've got that heavy, deep purple organ, which is pretty damn good. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like John Lord to me. Mother Nature's Matinee, ripping guitar from JY. And I hear flute on here. I'm not sure if it's a mellotron or if it's flute. I'm not sure, but it's very proggy. Children of the Land. It's just weird because you've got that weird Santana drum thing. It's kind of, you get like a drum solo right up front, which is odd. Is that Children of the Land?
Yeah, 30
Is that part of Children of the Land?
Yeah.
But Chuck sounds great. The keyboards sound great. The wah guitar sounds great. It's very psychedelic. I dig it, but I could get rid of Street Collage. But
I agree,
so
100%.
far, I mean, I'm good, but I think this album needs sequenced better. I don't have a problem with a 13-minute song, but I do have a problem with it opening the album. Maybe ending the album, it would have been better, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have thoughts about the end of the album I'll get to when we get there.
Okay.
Next track is written by a guy named Paul Frank, sung by JY. It's called Right Away. And to me, this is a bit of a gospel-tinged Southern rock-sounding ballad. Nice lead guitar from JY here, great organ work and electric piano from Dennis. And it's built for those famous Styx harmonies, those vocal triads. But here in the beginning, on the first 5 albums, you have JY, you have Dennis, and you have John Cyrulewski, the guitar player. And he's the really super high harmony vocals that you hear on all the early Styx records. That's shrieking at the top range. And we'll get to how Tommy Shaw had to hit those notes to replace him years later when we get to Crystal Ball down the road. So I like this song. It's not my favorite from the album, but it's decent. But it's very soulful. It's a different side and a different aspect compared to the 13-minute prog hard rock opener.
Yeah, it's a JY ballad pretty much. I'm not sure who Paul Frank is, who wrote it. I have no idea. I've never heard it before. But I think it's great. It's pretty straightforward. After coming off Movement for a Common Man, we go into a pretty straightforward ballad for the most part. I've never heard JY sing anything quite like this before or since. Lots of piano, guitars sound great. But like you mentioned, this is really a James Young record. James Young is all over it. And people, I just want to mention, people don't tend to remember that James Young had a lot to do with these early Styx albums. And it wasn't until Tommy got in the band that he kind of, because I think what he eventually said, I think I heard an interview and he said, well, if you've got a Tommy Shaw in here, he's going, what? He can't compete with that.
Yeah, he did one or two songs a record once Tommy joined in 76.
Yeah, but Tommy Shaw was just such a musical force. I get it. But James Young needs to get more credit. He's a musical force on these Wood Nickel records. I like what he brought to the table. Anyway, go ahead. You're good. Keep going.
Especially on the first album here.
Yeah.
He's just ending. Just his lead guitar, his lead vocals, and his voice was really good and pure back in the early days. It's not as great now, but he just turned 75. I think about 5 days ago or so. So happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Mr.
There you
Young.
go.
A fellow Scorpio just like me. So that is side one of the record. So it only is about 17 minutes long. It's a short album. Side two starts off with what is my favorite song on the album, What Has Come Between Us, written by Mark Gaddis, lead vocal by Dennis DeYoung, and it's a little 5 minutes. And Dennis has great lead vocals on this song and excellent keyboard work too. And in the vocal harmonies, James Young's voice, JY's voice just pops out.
Oh, yeah.
During the vocals of the chorus. You just hear him. He just cuts, boom, through the mix. So it's great harmony vocals. He peels off a really nice lead guitar solo. Oh, yes, I forgot. I have with me.
Oh.
There's the album cover.
Well, what is
I have one
what
of the,
is
I have
that?
a Russian. I have the Russian on one, Pieces of Eight.
Oh, the Russian boot.
So there's there's like the inner sleeve of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the cool cover, although, well, they're kind of naked on it. But this was a big thing in the 70s. Grand Funk, Orleans, we discussed that a lot.
Everyone was nude.
All the men were nude or shirtless in the 70s for some reason.
I don't know what that was about.
I like JY's lead guitar here. And Dennis DeYoung's organ on this song, like you mentioned, sounds like John Lord from Deep Purple and Ken Hensley from Uriah Heep. And I always thought that Uriah Heep were a huge influence on Styx, and it never gets talked about because they had those vocal harmonies where all five guys sang in Uriah Heep, and the three main guys usually sing in Styx. But they took, I think, a lot from Uriah Heep and Deep Purple. That's a lot of the early Styx sound comes from those forerunners of hard rock / heavy metal. I really like What Has Come Between Us. Really good song. What are your thoughts on it?
When I hear that, it sounds like a combination. I hear a lot of yes on it, but I also hear, if I could look to the future, it sounds like Play It Loud off of Crystal Ball, that riff. It really sounds like it could be on Crystal Ball. You could put Tommy on there, it would fit perfectly on there. Great vocal from Dennis. But, I wrote in my notes, I said, Dennis sounds great. He always sounds great. He sounds great now.
He does.
But still, this is a very JY album, which I'm fine with. But I think What Has Come Between Us is that's probably my favorite track on the record.
Same here.
Yeah.
Next, we have the single that actually charted. The album actually hit, it bubbled under on the Billboard charts. It hit number 207, so it just missed the top 200. This single, when it was released in 1972 on the Billboard chart, number 82. And this is co-written by JY and Dennis. It's called Best Thing. And it was released as a single a bunch of times with the B-side, What Has Come Between Us, on one version. There's a promo version that has mono stereo of this song. And then also a version with Having a Ball as a B-side from their fourth album, Man of Miracles. So this was released multiple times. It should have been a bigger hit. It's very catchy. And I really like the vocal swap between JY and Dennis on the song. Dennis sings the opening verse. JY sings the two verses and the bridge. And then Dennis comes back in at the end. And JY played some nice acoustic guitars on the first record. I think this is the only record he really plays acoustic guitars on, him and John Cyrulewski. Some nice acoustic guitar work here. Some good keyboard work from Dennis.
Yeah, because Tommy's playing the acoustic guitar and the rest of everything else. So
Yep, and Cyrulewski did it on the other Wood and Nickel albums. So this, to me, this is the obvious single on the record. And the acoustic guitars and Dennis's organ and the vocals are the highlights here to me. So I like the song Best Thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great song. Like the acoustic guitar intro. Of course, it was written by Dennis and JY. Great track. It is total Styx. And you mentioned it already, but Dennis and JY trading vocals, I love it. I love it. It's
They
great.
should have done more of that. Bands that have multiple singers, especially where they swap vocals.
Yeah, other than I only can think of Snowblind.
Yep,
Snowblind.
that's what I was thinking of.
I can't think of anything else where they did it. They might have. I don't know. The only thing
Later
comes to
on,
mind.
they did it on Cyclorama, but we'll get to that road.
That's going to be down the road.
Gowan and Tommy, they did it on that record. Next up, track 5 is Quick is the Beat of My Heart. And this song is written by a gentleman named Louis Mark. Not sure who it is. It's almost a 4-minute song. Vocal by JY. And it has a cool guitar intro. So this is like a riff rocker I wrote down. Tasty solo by JY. Some nice drum work from John Panazzo on this song. And I think the rhythm section of this band is underrated. John Panazzo, who passed away, on drums, and his twin brother, Chuck, on bass guitar. And they always play what's needed for the song. They don't overplay. And I always thought they had like a psychic connection where they play what's best for the song and they know what to do and how to accentuate and just put a bedrock down for the rest of the band to put the icing right on top of it with the vocals, the guitars, the keyboards. So they lay a great foundation. And they're unheralded in rhythm sections, but they're a lot more flashy and better players. So that's why. So this is a good song, but here's my thing with the end of I think this song should have ended the album. Because at the end of the song, when JY goes, die, die, and they make his voice echo, I thought that would have been a good ending to the album. But the thing is, they didn't want 3 mid-tempo ballads in a row What Has Come Between Us, Best Thing, and then After You Leave Me. So that's why they put After You Leave Me at the end.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, Quick is the Beat of My Heart. Who knows who Mark Lewis is? I have no idea. I think it's a fine song. It kind of reminds me of like a 1970s cop show theme, or it's for a 70s porn movie.
Taxi.
I don't know. But JY sounds great. I'm good with chukka chukka guitar parts. It just reminds me of other things. But I think it's one of the better tracks. I think side 2 on this is a lot stronger than side 1. But Movement for the Common Man, I like it, but I just don't like where it is. Anyway, yeah. So quick is the Beat of My Heart. I think it's decent.
And then the last track on the record is called After You Leave Me. And this is written by everyone's favorite funkster with the crazy hair, George Clinton. So that's where this song came from. It's a George Clinton song from Parliament Funkadelic fame. And that 70s stuff they did, great. Love all those records. We used to play them a lot in the record stores many moons ago. But getting back to this song, it's another soul-tinged gospel-style ballad. And I think it's an odd way to end the record because it ends it on a mellow note instead of a harder, heavier note. But it's not my favorite song from the record.
Right. Well, again, we have a JY vocal. It's very Deep Purple. That's what I hear. Even though George wrote it, it does sound very Deep Purple to me. And it is kind of heavy, but it's not, a quick tempo track or anything. I think it's okay though. Like I said, it's JY's album. I think JY sounds great on it. So
to me, he was the leader of the band back in the early days.
And he came in late, so I find that weird. I was just going
to say that. Formed in the early 60s with the Panazzo brothers on guitar and drums, and Dennis was the accordion player. He started off as an accordion player and then sort of learned how to play the keyboards from there, and he just had a natural aptitude for it. And then in college, they met Jorlewski, and in 68, he became their guitar player. So he was the 4th member of the band. They were originally called the Trade Winds. Then they shortened it to TW4, and then they became Styx. And JY was the last one to join in 1970. So they had that twin guitar sound. And you hear it on a lot of these early records, the twin guitar harmonies that the Allman Brothers were doing, and later Thin Lizzy, and then all the hard rock and metal bands in the 80s. But Styx were there first with these great vocals and the twin guitar harmonies. which they don't get enough credit for.
Yep, I agree. Trust me, from my Vanilla Fudge fan, they started all the purple He, Styx, Queen type stuff. So
it's a good point.
That's a good point.
Sail
all right,
on,
well,
sail.
This is the time of the show where we all get together and we rate this for everyone in the chat. First of all, Davey, what would you rate this out of 10?
Wow.
And everybody in the chat, I will monitor. And if you know this record and want to rate it out of 10, we will take your rating and compile it into our numbers. All right. Louder Than Life is giving it a 6.5. Okay.
That's close to what I was going to say.
You're going
to rank this a 7. I'll give this a 7.
Look at this. Dave, the pickup artist, is here. Hey, Dave, how's it going? He's a fellow Ohioan.
Nice.
All right. You're going to give this a 7?
Yes.
All right. So we got a 7 from Davey. We've got hold on, everybody. We've got an 8 from Nathan. All right.
Nice.
Look at you guys. Sydney's going to give it an 8. Tyler's going to give it a 7. If my mouse would work, it would help. There's Sydney, 7. Gary Joyce, based on other Styx, I'm going 6. Well, shouldn't you just base this on the album by itself and not compare it to other albums? I don't know. 6.5 from BM Bolt.
IBM.
Jason's going to go with a 6. See, everybody's about in that same pocket. Trey can't give a rating. Haven't heard. That's all right. Trey, you're here to learn. So just trying to turn you on to stuff. Zappos is 6.5. I'm probably going to go, I was looking at old reviews like Rolling Stone, when this came out, they gave it like a 1 out of 5. Or in the Rolling Stone, right? They hated all this stuff. I don't think they ever really, I know, but I don't think they ever liked any of this stuff. I think that this record, after all this time goes by, I think it's worn really well. I like it a lot better than I did when I was a kid. So I would probably be, I don't want to compare it to other things, but I think, let me look at the track listing one more time just to, movement for the common man kind of brings it down for me. I think side 2 is pretty strong. I mean, Right Away is a good track, but the problem is there's a lot of covers, and I shouldn't judge it on that. I guess I'd probably be happy giving this, though I like some of it. I guess I'd give it I'm going to give it I always rate this stuff pretty low, Davey. I don't mean to, but I'd probably give it a 6.
Okay.
All right. So anybody else have that? Oh, there's more. Wait a minute. Dave, the pickup artist, go Bucks. Exactly. Christian is going to go with a 6.5. 6.5. Kyle hasn't listened to it. Yeah, Dave is another he's a blood brother. Let's see. First time I saw Styx, 1978. Richfield Coliseum and Angel opened up. Great show. DC is going with a 7. All right. I can see a 7. I can see a 6. All right, John Patterson. These ancient albums were more the premise of our older siblings back in the day. I give it a 5.5. Okay. Man, you guys are all over it. Okay, what else?
And just to remind everyone, Rolling Stone also
disregard your rating. Wait a minute, Ken, did you already give me I thought you didn't give me your rating. All right, 7. Okay. All right, 7. 1 out of 5. Did they even 1 out of 5? Who gave it a 1 out of 5?
Rolling Stone, you said.
Oh, sorry, I can't track what I'm talking about. Logan's giving it a 6.5. Logan, you've heard this record? Or are you just trying to brown nose? Just trying to understand. All right, I'm ready. All right, everybody. Thanks for your rating. We're about ready to hit Styx II. Good. Look at this. We can do these in half an hour. Let's calculate it. We adding everything all together, and I'm not surprised, Davey. We come up with a 6.6 6-6. So, hey,
Nice.
for a debut album, lots of covers. They're not fully realized here yet. I think 6.66 a decent score.
For a debut album back in the day, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I'm good with that.
The number 6.66 is the river Styx.
The number of the beast.
Exactly.
See, they're standing all around this fire worshiping the devil. Wow. All right. According to Brian, Rolling Stone isn't worth the lining of his bird cage. Yeah, well, I just have to throw it out. Gets everybody worked up. All right, everybody. Let's keep going. Let's go on to Styx II that got released in 1973. This is all they wrote the whole thing on this one. So I don't know. Let's see. Davey, you want to start us off? Let's get this dog rolling. All right.
Yes,
Logan's does say though that Styx II is 100 times better.
I agree. There's the back cover.
There's stuff I like on it. Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
That is the river Styx mixed with a volcano. I always like the artwork. On the original vinyl album, if you can find it on Wooden Nickel, it's a die-cut cover. And you see the band members' pictures are in there. Them performing live on stage back in the day.
I've seen some of those, Davey, and then a lot of times the letters are torn because yeah.
And I do have it on vinyl. And this is the only Styx album on vinyl, to my memory, where side one, because Wooden Nickel, they had a buffalo head as the label on the record on the inner vinyl. It says heads for side one and tails for side two. I'm sure it's the only Styx vinyl that has that. So the record store starts off with and this is a Dennis DeYoung album. Like you said, the first album was a JY record.
Well, it's kind of balanced between JY and Kuralewski and Dennis. That's how I hear it. It's much more of a balanced effort.
But Dennis wrote the bulk of the stuff, and he sings more lead vocals here than JY. In fact, this is one of two Styx albums out of all their studio records, not including the covers album, where JY has no songwriting contributions. This and Crash of the Crown from a few years back, their most recent studio record. The album starts off with a song that was released as a single in 1973, actually on the reissue. When it came back out in 75, it hit number 88 on the Billboard chart, called You Need Love. And the album just starts off, boom, with this punchy rocker. Dennis wrote it, and JY, he gave him the lead vocal. And this is where you hear the twin harmony guitar lines, where they're in unison, Kuralewski and James Young. It's catchy, it's melodic, yet it rocks. So for people who later think that Dennis DeYoung only wrote ballads, never wrote rock songs, he is a rock and roller. He had long hair, he was in a rock band. Sure, he wrote ballads, sure, he did Broadway, but he's well-rounded. He liked hard rock too. This is the guy who wrote Born for Adventure from their fifth album, which we'll get to, which is a really hard rock song. And he knows how to sing hard rock and play hard rock. So to those who poo-poo him as a balladeer, I say you're all wrong. So I really like the way the record starts. It just starts off with a punch in the face with You Need Love, and it has a nice from JY. What do you think?
Great riffage from JY, heavy organ. Guitars rip on this record, or on this opening number. I think this is the perfect track for the opener. Great opener, makes me want to hear what's coming up on the record. It totally brings me in. This might be it's up there. It's probably my favorite track on the album. I think it was the perfect choice for the opener. Again, you've got the double leads. It could have been on Crystal Ball. As far as I'm concerned, you throw Tommy Shaw in here, it would fit right in there. And it just seems so weird that I could hear it on Crystal Ball, but I can. And I think James Young is in fine form on here. Doesn't matter who's writing it. I think JY delivers. So I think it's a great opener.
Now we get to the big song from the Wooden Nickel era. We get to Lady, track number 2, written by Dennis DeYoung. He wrote it for his wife, Suzanne. He wanted it on the first record, but the producer said, let's hold that for the next record. So it was not on the Styx debut album. It appears as track 2 on Styx II. When it was first released as a single in 73, it bombed. And your good buddy Pete Pardo has an epic interview on Sea of Tranquility with Dennis DeYoung. And I'm pretty sure that's the interview where he said that I wrote this song. It was my first song that I wrote and writer. They put it out as a single. It failed. And I felt like a failure. He was so disappointed because he thought this would be a big hit. And it wasn't. So it shot his confidence a little. And then a few years later, when the band went to local radio station WLS in Chicago, promoting their 4th album, Man of Miracles, and they spoke to a DJ, let me get his name, by the name of Jim Smith at WLS, and he had a syndicated Saturday show that went out to 38 states, and somehow back then in 1974, it also reached some other territories, the syndicated radio show, probably Canada, because Styx always had a big profile up north with our buddies up north. So he said, I'm going to play this song on my radio show every Saturday until it becomes a hit. I'm not going to play anything off your new record, Man of Miracles, but I heard the song when I was out in Chicago and it hit me. This should be a hit single. I'm going to make this a big single. And by gosh, by golly, he did make it their first hit. So it was re-released in November 74. And by March of 75, this was a number single on the Billboard charts. So Dennis DeYoung was vindicated. He is a good songwriter. He was a good songwriter. And this gave him that big boost of confidence to sort of maybe take a little more control in the band, thinking that, you know, male ego in any human, I could write a hit song. So this became their big hit. And it's really the only song for decades now, for 40 plus years, that they play from the wooden nickel era. Everything else, the band forgot about. It's all been memory hold. So this is their one big hit. And Wooden Nickel held the right until in the mid 90s, they redid a version of it. But we'll get to that down the line. So I love on this song the vocal triad harmonies, Dennis's voice, the way it starts out with the synth that John Cyrulewski is playing the synth on this album. The piano ballad, it's a great motif. And then it just kicks in. It's so strident and hard rocking. And John Panazzo's drumming on this song, that militaristic drum beat, bum, bada ba bum, bada ba bum. It's catchy as heck. And it's a great song. It's a classic song. Radio loves it because it's just a hair under 3 minutes long. So that's why it still gets airplay. It's a beloved song.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I don't care if I ever hear it again, but it's the shape of things to come. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I mean, it's a fine song, but I don't have to hear it. It's kind of like Babe. I don't ever have to hear Babe again either. But neither one bother me. It's just like, you know, I just heard it plenty. But yeah, it's great. It's pure Dennis. What can I say? I no issue with it. But yeah, go on to A Day. Talk about that one. Now we got 2 John Cyrulewski tracks, so
yes,
that's kind of cool.
Before I do that, I just want to quickly mention in Australia, it hit number 23. These are all 1975 chart placements. Canada, number 19. New Zealand, number 17. South Africa, number 3 in South Africa. Who knew? Maybe a young Trevor Rabin heard Styx on the radio and it influenced him. US, like I said, number 6. And in Zimbabwe, it was a number 2 song. Very cool. Next, we move on to the third track, and tracks 3 and 4 on side 1, the last 2 songs. As you said, both written by John Cyrulewski, JC, who left the band later on. This song, the first song, A Day, is over 8 minutes long, and it's a psychedelic, jazzy, proggy tune, and I think it's really good. It's underrated. I like it a lot. It's the first song he wrote for the band that they put on a record. He sings the lead vocals. He plays the lead guitar. And the first thing you notice in this song is Chuck Panazzo's bass, that laid back bass groove. And sort of like you're floating on a cloud. And this is probably a song that people, you know, toked up to back in the day, let's say. And then at about 3:44 into the song, it goes to the part that I call the Spinal Tap Jazz Odyssey moment, where it goes into this fast jazzy part. And then Dennis goes off on the Hammond organ on this song. and JY and John Cyrulewski on the lead guitar. And then about 2.5 minutes later, it goes back into that laconic, laid-back, psychedelic mode. Swirling wind sounds end the song, and to me, that's slightly reminiscent of Yes's South Side of the Sky. And obviously, as you said, Yes were a big influence on Styx. So that is a day. It's very different from every other Styx song, but I like it. When I was a kid, a little confused, listening as a young teenager, what is this? But as I grew up and my taste matured, like you said, I learned to appreciate this song a lot more.
I don't know, Brian, I don't know if I consider Babe yacht rock. Doesn't sound like yacht rock to me. And of course on Sirius XM, I don't think they ever play Babe on the yacht rock channel, so I don't know, but it doesn't sound yacht rocky to me.
What do you think of A Day?
A Day, I think it's proggy. I like that's funny. It's got auto harp on it. The synth sound great, like the piano, the dual leads again. I'm a sucker for dual leads, and I think it's a great track. I like what John's bringing to the table as far as his songwriting and his output for these Styx albums during this era. So yeah, I like it. I'm good. So far, this record really looks great compared to the other one.
And then we move on to the last song on side one, another John Cyrulewski pen tune, just under 4 minutes, called You Better Ask. And this is more of a southern rock, groove rock. It's a decent song, and it's upbeat, and it rocks, and Dennis has some nice organ work on it. I like JC's lead vocal, but it's probably my least favorite song on the whole record. But it's a nice way to end side one. It's not a terrible song. It's just not top of me.
Well, that's the problem with that track. Like I said, I appreciate that he's writing songs. I appreciate he's doing vocals. But the thing is that this doesn't, this is a straight rocker, you know? And the thing is, when I hear it, it doesn't really fit the rest of the record when I hear it. It's fine though, but it doesn't fit. If you listen to the first record, it seems like a lot of those tracks all kind of fit together. So far, this record, and now you could look at it, depends on how you want to look at it. This to me looks more like it's a collection of tracks as opposed to the first album where everything on there just seems to flow a little bit better. Now, is it sequencing? Could we have put You Better Ask on side 2 at the end of side 2 somewhere? I don't know. But this is the end of side 1. I don't know. There's something about the sequencing on it, Davey, that kind of bothers me. And I don't know. Didn't somebody else have a better song than You Better Ask? I don't know what the answer is, but it's okay. It's okay. It just doesn't fit.
They were new at songwriting. This was like the first album where they wrote all the songs basically, except the first thing on side 2, which we're going to get to in a moment. So for an embryonic version of the band, it's still good. It's just not amazing. It's not up there with it as a top Styx.
But I don't have a problem with it by itself. It could have been the B-side to Lady for all that matters, and it would have been great. I'm just talking as an album, as a piece of art, you know? It just doesn't fit. You Better Ask is my favorite song on the album. Well, there you go. See, we could be totally wrong. Yep. But Cindy likes anything that's metal or anything that's close to metal. So he's a bit partial. So, all right, cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
So then you've got let's see, the Bach piece. Yes, and that starts off side 2, which is odd.
Yes, written by Johann Sebastian Bach, an instrumental.
Thank God.
And Dennis DeYoung is playing the church organ on this. That was recorded at the St. James Cathedral in Chicago. And 48 seconds when the bass part and it gets the bass notes on the organ come in and it just takes off, and it's an excellent way, I think, to open side 2, and I really like it. And I used to love cranking it on my stereo when I was a kid. I would turn that part up just to drive my parents crazy. And then it bleeds.
I think I would have opened it up with Earl of Roseland or something heavier. It's just so opening up with a Bach piece just seems, But we all hear this
like
stuff differently. But I think when you're opening up side two, it needs to be something that's going to be hard hitting and makes a statement. And that doesn't, for me. It looks, oh, yeah, it's fine that you guys can play it, but it doesn't make that impact, you know? That's just me.
It does. That's my prog
Okay.
side.
There you go.
And then it goes into what's the centerpiece of the record, and probably my favorite song, Father OSA. 7-minute song written and sung by Mr. Dennis DeYoung, and it stands for Order of St. Augustine. And this song might be about a priest who's fallen away from the rank, or it could be a priest with some issues. I'm not exactly sure. There are a lot of different interpretations about what this song means, but to me, it's a mini prog masterpiece where everyone shines. Dennis on organ, JY and JC on electric and acoustic guitars, the rhythm set, and when John Panazzo hits those drums in the middle, it's sort of like a lead drum part for a moment before the organ comes back in. Great harmony vocals on this song. Father OSA, love the track. My favorite track on Styx II.
This would probably be my second favorite track. Of course, it's a Dennis track. You got that double lead. There's a lot of double lead if you like that stuff.
Yep.
And of course, you got the church organ that was from the Chicago Cathedral. And, you know, Dennis would go back and record pipe organ again for Pieces of Eight. So he liked to do that, but it makes a big statement. So I'm saying if that would have been an opening track, I think that would have been great. It's very majestic, and I think it fits with the LP. You know, if we could, it just needs a little work, but I think it's great. Second favorite song on the album. Yep, I like it.
Excellent. Then we go to a song you just mentioned, Earl of Roseland, a Dennis DeYoung hard rock song with really good guitar work, and it's all about growing up in Chicago. And when I was a kid, this song really connected with me because he talks about Davey and mentions him twice in the song. He also mentions Marvel Comics because he references Spider-Man and the Human Torch in the lyrics. So I was reading Marvel Comics. He mentioned my name, and I fell in love with this song. And it's a really good rock song. Nice guitar work by the boys.
He mentions Davey, but you know that's Davy Jones, right?
I know it's not me, but that's the way I took it.
I don't know what it is. I know. I understand. Yeah, straight ahead rocker. Great. Obviously, you can tell it's JY on that intro.
Yep.
And when I hear this, it just really reinforces the fact that John Panazzo was such a great drummer. Man, he is killing it on this stuff. I think it's great. My third favorite track on the record. What am I going to say? I forget. I think it's great. So, all right.
And then to close
onward.
The original record, we have another Dennis DeYoung song. This is a really short song, 2 minutes, 23. I'm going to Make You Feel It. And he gives the lead vocal to JY. So JY sings the opening track and the closing track on the proper album. And this is a really good, fast, hard rock song with great JY vocals, some really nice, tasty denim organ work in here, which harkens back to Lord and Hensley from Purple and Heap once again. And he just brings it. He's burning on that organ. Excellent guitar, hard rock song with organ. So it's a good way to end the record. This is the way that I think the first album should have ended, with a hard rock song. And then it goes, bow, and it just ends. And that's a cool way to end the record.
Yeah, I think it's great. Very Deep Purple, very Heap. It's got everything you want in a Styx song. You got those Styx harmonies. JY vocals, wonderful. I think it's a great way to close the record. I mean, if I could just tweak it a bit, it just needs tweaked a bit. But I don't have a problem with this record. I love the way it sounds. You know, I think it's a great sounding record. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that part in the show.
Actually, we have one more song.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and talk about that, and I'll prepare our ratings here.
Okay. Later on, the band released a B-side to a single called Unfinished Song. And it's really from the Serpent is Rising, Man of Miracles period, their third and fourth album. But it seems that on the Styx website on YouTube, And on Spotify, they've placed the track, just like on the double CD anthology that you showed before, Grant, the Wooden Nickel years. They've placed this song called Unfinished Song, End of Styx II. Probably because there's so many Dennis ballads and more mellow, laid-back tracks on Man of Miracles, and then it would have 11 songs. They threw this on the end of Styx II. So it's the 9th cut to me, called Unfinished Song. It's a Dennis DeYoung ballad, and he also co-wrote with a guy named Charles Lafrano, who was in the Styx orbit in the early years, the Wooden Nickel days. It's a 3-minute ballad, has some nice keyboard work from Dennis, some really good vocals, and then some nice guitars for the outro of the song. So it's a nice little ditty, and I haven't heard it because it's not a common song at all in the Styx canon. Go check out Unfinished Song. What do you think about it, Grant?
I think Unfinished Song should have been on the record. But I don't know. Where was it recorded for this? Because wasn't it
written and recorded in 73, and it's sort of as a B-side in 74.
But it could have been on Serpent, though. That's 73
that
too.
Record out a little more.
It would have helped it, but that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
That record, Dennis does not like that record, but I like it. And then the hidden cut plexiglass toilet. Yeah, that's the one we really love. So I wanted to mention Rock Show. I gave you a wrench. So the deal is with the wrench, I can keep track where if you're like new to the channel, if you're new, I consider everybody here like in a family. We're all here talking music. So I'm giving you a moderator wrench, kind of like a welcome to the club. And feel free to come back. And, it's just basically me keeping track of people. That's all it is. Dennis is his own worst critic. Yeah, it's true.
So what do you think of the song, Grant?
I think it's great. It's great Dennis. Best thing Dennis ever did it to this point, I think. I like it better than Lady.
Prog sounding. It's just uplifting like a hero's theme. Just those lyrics like he's singing from the rooftop, from the mountaintop.
Oh, Ken, you've got the reissue. Yeah, those are stupid.
I own those two on vinyl.
I don't know. Is Tarot Destroyer here? I don't think Tarot Destroyer was a troll. Tarot Destroyer isn't going to ever come back here. No, I don't think Tarot Destroyer. I don't know. Sydney, I don't know. I can't answer that. But they'll never be back. Giving people wrenches is a good way of keeping track of trolls. Yes. You're right, Super Strike. All right. So we're at that point of the show where let's take our ratings. Davey, what would you rate this out of 10?
This is probably my favorite album from the Wooden Nickel era. I just love the way Dennis takes control, the songwriting, the power, the progginess, and the other contributions from all the other guys in the band. I'm going to give this an 8.
All right, we got an 8 from Davey. We've got an 8 from Logan. We've got Gary Joyce. We got a 7.5. We've got a 9.5 from Sydney. Look at that. Nice. Look at you, man. Nice, Sydney. We've got a 7 from Electric Sailor. 7. We've got a 7.5 from Tyler. Definitely an improvement over the debut. Okay, 7.5. All right, Jason, we're giving it a 7. Okay. Logan says Byron's smart. I don't know about that. Louder Than Life, we're giving it a 7.5. Brian McFadden, an 8 all day. All right. Rock Show, they're new, giving it a 6. Thank you for your vote. Ken White, solid 8. 8.5. Stephen David, okay. Well, I can already tell that this is going to fare a lot better. Cape Cod Ken, we've got an 8.5. Zappa, 7.5. DC is going to go with an 8. Sydney is insane. Don't forget. Oh, Logan, I know that. BM Bolt's going to go with an 8. Wow, this album's fairly. It's going pretty well. Anybody else have anything? We got 21 Rich 12's got an 8 for this. Okay.
A Rush fan. Nice. Good moniker, Rich.
Raksha said, "Lady, save this record." Super sure. I admit, I have no ratings on Styx album. I just dig the hits. A band I need to explore more. Well, that's all what it's about. Yeah. All right. Gary Joyce, this will be an 8. Oh, okay.
Principal.
I almost love every song, so I have to give it a 9.5. I got it. Gary's going to go an 8. I rate it based on how many songs I like. Well, of course. What else? Anybody else? All right, cool. I guess we're good. All right, everybody, let's tally it. Oh, I didn't give my rating. I would give this. I'd give this a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's okay, but there are records I like more than this, so it's fine. It's all right. It's better than the debut, but just by a little bit. Ken White. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's tally it up. We've got, we fared a little bit better. That's funny. We had a 6.66 for the debut, and this one got a 7.76.
7.
God, it's almost the same.
Well, 0.7.
Wow.
That's when they released the Grand Illusion. 7777, their 7th album and their big breakthrough album.
Yeah. Overall mood of the album, more than amount of good songs for me. Logan is 8 p.m. tomorrow. I don't know. What's 8 p.m. tomorrow? Other than...
I'll be at work.
Yeah. For all these songs on YouTube, I'll have to go to listen to that probably.
Yes, go to the Styx YouTube site. It's there. It's on Spotify. You can find the original album. It's on the Wooden Nickel anthology that Grant held up before, which is a really good collection.
Yeah, there you go.
All 4 of their Wooden Nickel records. There it is.
It's a must-have, and it sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
Logan is on Johnny Metal's channel at 8 p.m. Oh, that's right. So young Logan will be on Johnny Metal's channel. They're talking Accept tomorrow night. But don't forget, tomorrow at 7 on the Contrarians, we will be live.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday at 7. Well, for the most part. Sadly, there's a real shortage of live footage audio from this period. Yeah, I don't see anything. So I can hardly wait for 8 p.m. so I can go up there and mock and make fun of Logan. I can hardly wait. For all the times he's given me shit, get ready, Logan, because I'm going to deal it out. He better have a good showing. I'm going to be very critical of his performance. I'll be at the Trans-Siberian Orchestra show tomorrow night. Oh, Kyle, good for you.
I saw them on their first tour. I think it was the Beacon Theater in Manhattan. They had no big stage show. That's how early it was. Just regular.
There you go.
Life.
There you go, Sydney. Oh, yeah. And then Thursday night, no, we're going to do we're going to go live, Byron. We're going to look at Zappa Bongo Fury. We'll go live. I think that's at 8 p.m. on Thursday.
Cool.
Oh, I would like to know if you can do a deep dive on early pre-19. If I'm going to do REO, I'm going to do the whole thing, Sailor. The whole shebang.
Just like we're doing with Styx.
Exactly. I thought the subject on Johnny Metal's show tomorrow was potato salad. What the hell are you talking about? All right, cool. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got a 6.66 and a 7.76 for Styx II. Next month we will be back with The Serpent is Rising and Man of Miracles. I figure we can do half hour each show and it works. Do you see that? Yeah, they're going to talk recipes tomorrow. All right, everybody, we can wrap this dog up. We went an hour. I want to thank my co-host, Davey Cretin, tonight. Davey, before we wrap this dog up, what's coming up on your show?
Well, I just put out a video I did with Todd Evans from the Contrarians and bicyclelegs from the Contrarians in his channel. We ranked the studio albums of British progressive rock band IQ, and it's doing really well on my channel, Cretin Classics. And I put it on an IQ Facebook fan site, and the lead singer of IQ commented on the video and said we did a good job. So mind blown that the lead singer of IQ commented on my ranking video with bicyclelegs and Todd.
So check out Davey's. And what's the name of your channel, Davey, so everyone knows?
Cretin Classics.
So everybody do give Davey a shout out and subscribe to his channel, everybody, if you haven't already. All right, everybody. We'll see you next month. Davey, I'll be in contact. We will set up the next show sometime in December. God knows when, but we will. Probably a month from now, roughly.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Have a good... What's that? Of course.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's a good time. Wearing the colors, ladies and gentlemen. Check out Davey's channel. All right, everybody. Have a good week if I don't see you. And tomorrow night, Contrarian, 7 o'clock live show. Will we be doing, I forget what we're talking about, but we'll be live. It's going to be a big panel. And Monday, we're going to be looking at 1986. So we'll be going on before Hudson Valley Squares. So check that out on Monday. So there's all kinds of great stuff coming. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Have a good one and keep it clean.